Hi everyone and welcome to today's book review of Mr Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore by Robin Sloan. Can I just say, I loved this book. It was perfect and I adored it, and honestly this is like a celebration review of how amazing it really is. I recommend it to all you bookish people out there because I know you'll fall in love with it just like I did. So this book is actually set in San Francisco at the time of a recession, and the main character is called Clay Jannon. He has moved on from web design and he now works in a 24-hour bookstore doing the night shift. Although it's a very quiet place and relatively few people visit, it's a very mysterious place nevertheless. The people that visit don't actually buy any books, they just borrow very obscure books from high-up shelves. In addition to this, Mr Penumbra has ordered that Clay writes descriptions of every person that visits the bookstore so they can keep a record of it. And they basically go through like an analysis and a journey about what this bookstore is and why it's like this. It's of course very bookish, it's about books, it's about bookstores, it's about bookish people. Perfect. So first let's discuss the amazing characters in this book, which I absolutely loved. I thought because they were so bookish they were very relatable and I really managed to connect with them very easily. I really felt for them and I just thought they were all amazing, especially Clay as the main character. I thought he was very geeky as well and I really loved this geekish aspect to him. I thought it was really interesting and exciting. I also found that Mr Penumbra added a different element to the characters because he was so mysterious and he was so different to every other character as well. So he really stood out as an individual and I loved reading about him. I loved the mystery behind him. Also the side characters were really good as well. I have to admit that although I focus more on the main characters because they're the main characters, I felt like the people that were visiting the bookstore, they were incredibly interesting and I really loved the way that Clay characterized them in his descriptions. So I thought all in all the characters were superb and they were just amazing characters, very bookish, so how can you not like them? The second thing to discuss is of course the plot, and I would say that the plot is very fast paced in this book and I was hooked from the very first page. With each chapter there was a new progression in terms of what was happening with the story. The whole concept is incredibly intriguing actually. I love this bookstore and how it's described. The first part especially is very different because I really enjoyed reading about this bookstore, how it was set up, and although it was being set up there was lots of action at the same time. I felt like when Clay was learning how to climb these ladders to very high up shelves, I just thought that was captivating. I wanted to give it a go myself. Maybe I should go and get a really high up bookshelf and get a ladder and climb up it because it sounds fun, and honestly he inspired me to do that. I also felt like because it was set in a real place, I felt like it was very believable and realistic, and I really felt like this added a really good element to the plot. Although it wasn't a real story, it just added something amazing which I really loved reading about. So just amazing. The plot is amazing. I can't even speak because it's so amazing. We also have to talk about the writing in this book, which is equally fantastic, and I felt like it was a very easy style to read. I got through it really quickly because of this, and it was definitely a page turner because of the writing style as well as the plot. Clay is actually the protagonist, but he's also the narrator of the book, and I felt like he was the perfect character to narrate everything. I loved the way he described everything, and I really loved his tone as well. It was very humorous, and he added like a comical element to it, which was great. But even though it was a very easy style to read, I felt like there were a lot of quotations in this book, and I took a lot of them and wrote them down because they were all bookish, and of course I'm a book nerd, so I loved them. There was actually one chapter called Why Do You Love Books So Much, and in this chapter there were so many quotations about why reading is so important, why books are so fantastic, so of course I wrote all of these down because they were just amazing. I would also like to say that the chapter names were really good. They were interesting but also very relevant, and it sort of set up what was going to happen in that chapter. It made it very clear. One of the chapters was called The Smell of Books. Of course, booktubers love smelling books. So that was very epic. So overall for Mr Penumbra's 24-hour bookstore, it is perfect, and I am giving it 5 out of 5 because how could I not? It is so good, and I really enjoyed this book, everyone. I just loved reading it. It was such a great reading experience. I would honestly recommend this book to absolutely everyone. I think it's really good if you're in a reading slump actually. I think it'll get you out of a reading slump because it's so bookish. Or maybe if you haven't read for a while either, it would be really good. But just for any book nerd out there, just read this book. I think you will enjoy it, and I just, I loved it, so you should too. So everyone, that is it for today's very positive review of Mr Penumbra's 24-hour bookstore. If you've read this book, please let me know in the comments and tell me what you thought of it, or if you're going to read it in the future, please let me know as well. So thank you everyone for watching, and see you all again in my next video.